All right, so today we're doing a deep dive on Tiger Brokers,
Yeah.
a Chinese financial technology company that's been making some serious moves in global finance.
Hmm.
And to really get under the hood, we're going to be looking at a presentation by their founder and CEO, Mr. Hua.
Right.
And he really kind of lays out their journey, their strategy, and honestly, I think what makes them tick.
I think it's going to be fascinating for our listeners to kind of get this inside view of a company that is really bridging, cultures and markets
Yeah.
and really, aiming to be a leading global player.
Yeah, and what's super interesting to me is that Mr. Hua, he doesn't come from a finance background
Right.
at all.
An engineer.
He started as an engineer.
Yeah. At NetEase.
At NetEase.
Yeah. So quite a career pivot for him.
Yeah, so it's kind of this classic, like, hold my beer, I'm going to build a global brokerage kind of story.
Right.
And his entrepreneurial journey, it was sparked by something I think a lot of us can relate to, just frustration dealing with, clunky U.S. brokerages while he was managing his employee stock options.
We've all been there.
Yeah. So he basically thought there has to be a better way.
Absolutely.
And boom, Tiger Brokers.
He saw a massive opportunity there.
Yeah.
I mean, to use technology to really make this, make investing more user-friendly and accessible.
Right.
Especially for people outside of, the traditional financial hubs.
Totally. And that focus on technology, it really does permeate their entire strategy.
Yes.
Mr. Hua really emphasized that over half of their global workforce
Wow.
is dedicated to product and technology development.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about that, too, is that they built their entire trading system,
Oh, wow.
like from scratch, with this mobile-first approach
Right.
that was pretty revolutionary at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to think about the technical challenge of creating a system
Right.
that is not only intuitive on mobile devices, but can handle these high transaction volumes
Right.
in real time.
And in real time.
That's really impressive.
Yeah. And especially when you consider the complexity of financial transactions.
Right.
Yeah, they were ahead of the curve.
Yeah, absolutely. And this, technological foundation really sets the stage for their very ambitious global expansion strategy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about blindly chasing trends.
Okay.
They were very strategic about identifying markets where their technology could provide real value.
So they weren't just looking to plant a flag in every country.
Not at all.
Okay.
They targeted countries that had users with a solid understanding of U.S. stocks
Okay.
and that were open to a new value proposition.
Yeah.
A better user experience at a lower cost.
Right. But still, they got to convince people to choose them
Right.
over a local competitor.
Absolutely.
What was their, secret sauce?
Well, they didn't just, parachute in.
Okay.
Mr. Hua really stressed the importance of finding the right local leadership in each region. Someone that could bridge the gap between their global vision and the local context.
Got it.
He called it finding the number one
The number one.
in each region.
I like that.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about that.
Sure.
How did that local leadership make a difference?
Well, this is number one. It would be someone who had a deep understanding of local regulations.
Great.
Could build a strong team on the ground and really navigate, those subtle cultural nuances that are so crucial for building trust.
Right, because those things can really make or break you when you're going into a new market.
Absolutely.
So you need somebody who can make the global feel local.
Exactly.
And speaking of their global strategy, they started with a very specific focus, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
Initially, Tiger Brokers was laser focused on U.S. stock trading.
Okay.
It was a strategic starting point,
Right. Yeah.
allowing them to establish their technology and user base before expanding
Okay.
into other areas.
So this evolution of their product offerings,
Right.
it's really interesting to me. Right. So they didn't just stand still.
Not at all. They carefully expanded their products to meet the evolving needs of their users.
Yeah.
For example, they, recognizing the growing demand for diversified investments, introduced mutual funds,
Okay.
giving users access to a wider range of assets.
So they started with U.S. stocks, but quickly realized
Right.
they needed to offer more to stay competitive
Right.
and cater to this global audience.
Absolutely.
So what else did they add?
Well, they eventually added commodities
Okay.
and U.S. dollar deposit programs,
Okay.
which was particularly clever
Okay.
because it catered to international investors' needs for currency diversification.
Right.
Then they even ventured into the more complex world of futures and options,
Oh, wow.
recognizing that their user base was becoming more sophisticated.
So it seems like they really listened to their users and anticipated their needs.
Yeah.
Did they stop at just providing access to more products, though?
Not even close.
Yeah.
They recognized that providing access was just the first step.
Right.
They also needed to empower their users with the tools and knowledge
Right.
to make informed investment decisions.
So they didn't just want to be a platform. They
Right.
wanted to be like a partner in their users' financial journey.
Exactly.
Oh,
They developed a suite of easy-to-use analysis tools
okay.
to help users make sense of the markets.
Makes sense.
They even created an entire educational platform called Tiger Brokers Academy.
Wow. So it's like they're taking the exclusivity out of investing
Yeah.
and making it more accessible to everyone.
Absolutely. That's a key part of their vision. They are effectively democratizing access to sophisticated financial tools that were previously only available to the elite.
Right.
This ties into a larger trend that we're seeing in finance,
Yeah.
the blurring of lines between retail and institutional investors.
So they're serving both individual investors and institutions.
Yeah, that's where their journey takes another interesting turn. They evolved from a retail-focused online brokerage
Okay.
to a more comprehensive financial platform.
Okay, so they didn't just stop at individual investors.
No.
So who else are they serving now?
So now they cater to a wide range of institutional clients,
Okay.
including public companies,
Okay.
VC and PE firms.
Okay. For those who might not be familiar,
Right.
VC is venture capital.
Yes.
PE is private equity.
Typically invest in startups,
Yes.
other privately held companies.
Exactly. That's quite a diverse clientele.
Yeah, and hedge funds,
Okay.
family offices,
Right.
asset managers,
Yeah.
the whole gamut.
Really expanded their reach.
They have.
So it's clear that Mr. Hua has some pretty grand ambitions for the future.
Yeah.
He believes that Asia's continued rise will lead to the birth of world-class brokerages led by people of Chinese origin.
Wow.
And he drew a parallel to how America's rise led to Goldman Sachs.
Right.
And Europe's growth gave us UBS.
That's a bold statement.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah.
So what does all of this mean for tiger brokers and their place in this ever-evolving world of finance?
Right.
I mean, we've seen how they've combined technology, a strategic global vision, and a commitment to serving both individual and institutional investors.
Absolutely.
It's a unique combination.
Yes.
And it's clearly resonating with users worldwide.
Their journey so far really raises some interesting questions about how companies like them might reshape the landscape of global finance.
Yeah, and we're going to delve into those questions and more
Sure.
in part 2 of our deep dive.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
We just left off talking about, how Tiger Brokers has managed to make such a big impact in a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on, some of the key trends that Mr. Hua highlighted in his presentation that are shaping the world of finance.
Well, one thing that really stood out to me was his emphasis on technology as a differentiator.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's not just talking about having a slick app or
Right.
a cool website.
Yeah.
He's talking about using technology to create a truly seamless and empowering experience for users,
Yeah.
whether they're seasoned investors or just starting out.
He used the phrase, technology makes investing more beautiful,
Yes.
which I thought was such an interesting way to put it.
It is a great way to describe it, I think.
Yeah.
It's about removing the friction, the intimidation that many people feel when it comes to investing.
Right.
Tiger Brokers is using technology to democratize access to financial markets,
Yeah.
put sophisticated tools in the hands of everyday people.
And that makes a lot of sense because traditionally investing has felt
Yes.
very exclusive,
Totally.
almost like a secret club.
It was a barrier to entry.
Yeah.
For sure.
For the wealthy and the well-connected.
Exactly. And this shift towards democratization
Mm-hmm.
is part of a larger trend we're seeing in finance.
Yeah.
The blurring of lines between retail and institutional investors. Tiger Brokers is catering to both segments,
Okay.
recognizing that everyone needs access to robust financial tools and opportunities.
It's also interesting how they've positioned themselves as a global company
Yes.
right from the start.
Right from the get-go.
I mean, they didn't follow that traditional path of, conquer your domestic market first
Yeah.
and then expand outward.
Mm-hmm.
They went global immediately.
It's significant. It's a significant departure
Yeah.
from the norm,
Mm.
and it speaks to the increasingly interconnected nature of the financial world.
Right.
They understood that capital flows freely across borders,
Yeah.
and they built a platform designed to cater to that reality.
But going global isn't as simple as just having good technology, right?
No.
Mr. Hua talked about the importance of understanding
Wow.
local nuances, regulations, even cultural differences.
You're absolutely right. Technology provides the foundation.
Yeah.
But successful global expansion requires a deep understanding of the local context.
Mm-hmm.
It's about building trust,
Uh-huh.
adapting to local needs,
Mm-hmm.
and demonstrating a genuine commitment to serving each market.
He specifically mentioned needing to clearly answer the question,
Yes.
why should someone in this country choose tiger brokers over a local company?
You have to have an answer for that.
Yeah.
You can't just assume that your technology is going to speak for itself.
So can you give us an example of how they tailored their approach to different markets?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's take Singapore as an example.
Okay.
They partnered with local banks to offer integrated banking and brokerage services.
Okay.
That was a key differentiator
Mm-hmm.
that helped them gain market share.
Yeah.
This move showed they were serious about understanding and meeting the specific needs of Singaporean investors.
That's a really smart strategy. It shows they're not just trying to force a one-size-fits-all approach on
Yeah.
different countries.
Not at all.
And speaking of smart strategies, their product evolution is another example of their ability to adapt and grow.
Absolutely.
They started with a very specific focus on U.S. stock trading,
Right.
but they've continually expanded their offerings
Mhm.
based on user demand and market trends.
It's crucial for any company that wants to remain competitive in this fast-paced world of finance.
So I'm curious, how did they decide which products to prioritize?
Uh-huh.
Was it purely driven by user demand, or were there other factors at play?
Well, they've definitely been very deliberate about expanding in a way that aligns with their vision of becoming a comprehensive financial platform.
Okay.
It's not about chasing every shiny new trend.
Right.
It's about making strategic choices that contribute to a coherent long-term vision.
And their vision seems to be resonating.
Yeah.
Mr. Hua talked about his belief that Asia's rise will lead to the emergence of world-class financial institutions, led by people of Chinese origin.
It's an interesting idea.
He's betting that tiger brokers will be one of them.
It's a bold vision, but it's one that's grounded in the realities of the shifting global landscape. I mean, we're seeing the center of economic gravity shift eastward, and it's natural that this will be reflected in the financial world as well.
So what does this all mean for the future of global finance?
Right.
What are the potential implications if companies like tiger brokers achieve their ambitious goals?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And one we'll start to explore in part 3 of our deep dive.
We've been talking about how tiger brokers is really pushing the boundaries in the world of finance, but what does their rise actually mean for the future of the industry as a whole?
Well, the implications are potentially huge. You know, if companies like tiger brokers succeed in their ambition to become global leaders in finance,
Right.
it could signal a real power shift in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, for so long, the major financial institutions have been headquartered in places like New York,
Right.
London, Zurich.
Yeah,
But that could change dramatically as companies like tiger brokers gain traction.
absolutely.
It's fascinating to think about what that would mean for those established players.
Imagine a world where the financial centers of the future are located in Shanghai, Singapore, or Mumbai.
Yeah, that's a seismic shift,
It is,
with ripple effects across the entire global economy.
for sure.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing to think about how that might change the way capital flows, how investment decisions are made,
Right.
even how financial products and services are designed.
Yeah, one potential outcome is a more diverse and inclusive financial landscape.
Okay.
Companies like tiger brokers are inherently more attuned to the needs and aspirations of investors in emerging markets.
That makes sense. They're coming from a different perspective
Exactly.
and might have a better understanding of the challenges and opportunities in those markets.
Right, so instead of simply exporting Western financial models,
Yeah.
we might see the development of new products and services specifically tailored to the unique needs of those markets.
That could be a game changer for people who have traditionally been excluded from the formal financial system.
Absolutely. We might see a greater focus on financial inclusion, on providing access to capital and investment opportunities for a whole new segment of the population.
It's also interesting to consider the potential impact on competition.
Yeah.
The arrival of ambitious, technologically savvy companies like Tiger Brokers could really shake up the established order
Mm-hmm.
and force traditional players to step up their game.
It's bound to happen. We could see a wave of innovation as companies race to keep up with the evolving needs of investors.
Right.
Faster adoption of new technologies, more user-friendly interfaces, and a greater emphasis on personalized financial solutions. It could really transform the industry as we know it.
It sounds exciting, but there must also be some challenges and risks to consider
Of course.
as companies like Tiger Brokers expand their reach.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to face increased scrutiny from regulators and policymakers around the world.
That's inevitable. Any company operating across borders will need to navigate a complex web of regulations and compliance requirements.
Right.
And as they grow larger, their activities will have a greater impact on global financial stability.
Yeah.
So the stakes are definitely high.
So we've got this exciting new player changing the game,
Mm-hmm.
but also a whole host of new challenges and complexities.
It's a fascinating dynamic.
Yeah.
One thing's for sure, the rise of companies like Tiger Brokers shows us that the world of finance is becoming more dynamic and complex than ever before.
Yeah, we've gone from a single entrepreneur's aha moment to a global vision that could reshape the future of finance.
It's remarkable how technology, global ambition, and a commitment to serving both individuals and institutions can combine to create such a powerful force for change.
Yeah, you've given us so much to think about.
I hope so.
Will companies like Tiger Brokers become the new giants of global finance?
It's a good question.
How will their rise impact traditional players and the global economy as a whole?
Yeah.
What does this all mean for the average investor?
These are all important questions, and the answers will unfold in the years to come. But one thing is certain, the future of finance is anything but predictable.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Tiger Brokers.
It's been my pleasure.
We hope you've learned something new and are as excited as we are to see what the future holds for this dynamic industry.